This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by boxer promoter Ben Shalom here in Manchester. Ben, we've just had a press conference, some words exchanged, some insults swapped on both sides. What did you make of it?
Look, they've been twitchy the past 24 hours. I didn't see that at the open workout. And look, it's just getting closer to fight night. It means so much to both guys. It means so much to both teams. Sometimes it does go overboard. Yeah, but we've got the fight we wanted. The trainers are in. That was entertaining. Everything was entertaining. But yeah, look, I'm hopeful this gets washed over and then we go again.
Despite the past achievements of both, Ben, is this the biggest fight of both of their careers because of how personal it is, because of a rivalry that they've both built over the years?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as I said up there, Team Khan-Brook, they feel like Amir's been avoiding him for almost his whole career. He's always felt like the better fighter, particularly in the latter half of his career, and so finally he gets his chance, and I think he thought it was going to happen in December. He's been training incredibly hard up until December, and now he's had that extra couple of months as well. So as much as he said there about the weight, I expect him to come in on 149. I expect him to be ready, and I expect it to be extremely explosive from both guys. I think we saw today there's genuine dislike here. It's you can't fake a 10-15 year relationship and rivalry. It's so rare to get that in boxing, and yeah, pleasure to be promoting it. Unbelievable. It's got everything, this fight, and you can feel it now. I mean, the turnout here today was incredible. The numbers are incredible, and I just can't wait to see the fight. It's what we've all been waiting for. It's what I've been waiting for as a boxing fan for a long time.
Is this fight as simple as whoever has more left because of the tough fights that they've had during their careers, especially towards the latter end for the pair of them? Or is it more complicated than that?
Say that again?
Is this fight simply a matter of whoever will be successful, it's just whoever has more left in the tank at this stage of their careers?
I think so. I think, look, they've trained so hard for this fight. They've been doing 12-round spars. I know they've been doing, even Amir's been doing 14, 16-round spars. They're ready for the fight. They're ready to go through the distance. I think it's more, yes, who's got more in the tank, who's got punch resistance left and things like this, but essentially it's going to come down to who could keep their head. I really do believe that. We've seen Amir in the past sort of lose his head and get involved in fights, and he always wants a fight, and then Kell is so angry that he's going to come out there and he's going to want to teach Amir a lesson. I think it's going to be so emotionally charged in there on Saturday night. The fans are going to be crazy. They know the whole of the UK is watching, around the world as well. Who can keep their head, who can stick to a game plan? I know they've both worked on their game plans for a long time now with Brian McIntyre and Dominic Ingle, and that will be the key to this fight.
You're probably the biggest fight that you've been involved in so far. It's your first Sky pay-per-view as well. Ben, when you reflect on your time working in boxing and the magnitude of this show, how would you compare it all so far?
Yeah, it's our first box office event, and yeah, Sky box office is an absolute monster, and it's been huge for 20-25 years. Ever since I've been watching boxing, this has been sort of where the boxing has gone to heights we never thought it could. To be able to take it on now is incredible, but to start with a special fight like this is unbelievable. I think the content we've been doing, I think everyone appreciates the 24/7 content, the access, the entertainment, the telling of the stories. That's what we committed to when we joined Sky. We wanted to use Sky Sports in the best way possible, and to be able to carry on all the historic nights that Frank Maloney put on, that Frank Warren put on, and then Eddie Hearn taking it to new heights. It's a great thing for boxing, and I think this is where the big British fights have always been, and we want to make sure that we make this one a very, very special night.
On the pay-per-view front, Ben, what's going to be the plan for you guys moving forwards? You know, you've got this one, which will be first pay-per-view. People assumed, even though it wasn't Eubank Jr., Williams may have been a pay-per-view. Now you've teamed up with Sky. What's going to be the plans moving forwards? Because you've had Eddie Hearn previously say, that pay-per-view was dead, quote, which people continue to put around. He said that for him it'll be fights like AJ Usyk 2 or Fury White would be pay-per-view, or his pay-per-view for BT, for example. What's going to be the plan for you guys in Sky?
I think the plan is we don't want to do too many pay-per-views. We want to give as much value as possible, hence Eubank Williams last week, Josh Taylor fighting in the UK in a unification world title fight next week. So we want to give as much value as possible and keep the box office nights for truly special events. I think you won't see too many of them. There's obvious ones coming up for Sky. I think Chris Eubank Jr. has his sights set on big pay-per-view nights. Anthony Joshua as well, we expect to stay on Sky. So I think it's just saving it for the very best moments. We all know that the numbers involved in these type of fights demand pay-per-view, and there's no better platform than box office. There's no one that does it better than Sky. And but yeah, we're going to keep them rare, and we're going to keep them for the big fights, and we're going to try and do it differently and try and give more access and try and give more value before the fight and after the fight than ever before.
From a competition perspective, BT Sport and Discovery seem to be close to agreeing some form of a 50-50 merger. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's great. I think if anything, 3 broadcasters, we've never seen this in UK boxing going at it this hard, and it's amazing for fighters, it's amazing for the sport. My only worry is that fights still get made and it's not too, separated, but we're willing to work with everyone. We're working with the Sauerlands, we're working with Mick Hennessy. We've even done a deal for Fabio Turchi with Matchroom. So we want to make sure that fights get made despite all the money and the different broadcasters going into it. So I think it's good news. I think BT, a strong secondary broadcaster to Sky, and then DAZN as their boxing platform, and with Eddie, it's great. But most importantly, we care about the fighters. I care about the fighters, and it's never been better time to be a fighter.
A couple of names you've thrown out there I just want to touch on. You mentioned AJ, you're confident he'll stick with the Sky platform. How long do you think it will be until there is something official on that front?
I'm hearing it's going to be soon. I think it's going to be Usyk, and they're just deciding on where it goes. Eddie will have his ideas, and Anthony's team, and Freddie, and then Usyk's team. But yeah, I think Anthony's always been with Sky, and I expect him to stay with Sky. I think everyone does. And when Sky can produce special nights like this, you start to really. I'm new to it, so I'm starting to see the scale of Sky from the inside for the very first time, and it's an amazing thing. And what they can do in British boxing, and their input in British boxing needs to stay, and it's so healthy for the sport. And Anthony recognises that, and I'm sure he'll be back on box office very, very soon.
You also mentioned Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously on the back of his fight with Liam Williams, a certain kind of Ben was mentioned. Connor's come out and he said that he's had some form of meetings with Chris's team. Do you anticipate it's a fight we could see in the near future at some form of a catchweight?
Look, I've said before, I don't think it's the near future. I think they've both got world title ambitions. Connor's fighting 147, doing really well. Chris has now got his own world title ambitions, and he's later on in his career. Is he going to sacrifice that? I don't know. And then, what weight are they going to fight at? I think it's a great fight for the future. Whether now is the right time, I don't know. But it's going to be up to Connor and Chris. There'll be so much money on the line. There'll be so much they can gain from that fight that maybe they will get tempted. But I think it's not the next fight. It's not the next 2 fights. It's not the next 3 fights. But hopefully one day we see it, just because, the history there. Adam mentioned today Ben Eubank at Old Trafford in 1993, the year I was born. So it's coming in cycles. I think. That would be one for the ages, but yeah, I don't see that happening in the near future, but I could be wrong.
You mentioned Turchi, obviously getting ready to face Richard Riakporhe on March 26th. Now that falls on the same night as Martinez Warrington 2 Matchroom show up in Leeds. Why fall on the same night, firstly, Ben?
We can't avoid. There's so many dates now. We've got Frank Warren doing dates, you've got Eddie doing dates, you've got other promoters as well, and it's impossible to avoid. We go when the football's on, usually. We like to come in off the back of Premier League games. We were always going for that March 26th date. That was booked a long time ago. We were waiting on the right opponent for Richard Riakporhe, and he's very important to us, Richard, and we wanted to make sure he gets his chance to headline on Sky. And yeah, boxing fans know how to watch 2 fights. They can record one, they can watch another. I think it's great for boxing, but you're going to get clashes. Unless it's Khan-Brook or unless it's AJ fighting or White Fury, you're going to get clashes, and that's unfortunate, but it shows that the sport's in a very, very healthy place as well.
Is this something which, from the sounds of it, then we should expect to see a bit more of those show clashes as the years progress?
I think, unfortunately, it's unavoidable. Maybe if DAZN and BT have merged, maybe then you'd have less clashes. But how can we avoid clashing? Matchroom are so busy. They do so many events all around the world, almost every week. They've got Warren doing his own thing. It's impossible for us to avoid. And Saturday night is a night we want to do Saturday fight nights, and the football, as I say, that's what really dictates our business. So I'd expect to see it. We'll try and avoid it where we can for the big fights. But I think for this, we've got to go with what we're doing, and we've got to go with what's right for Richard and the rest of our stable. We've got a great card on that night. Mikhail Lawal, hopefully being a British title fight against Dion Juma, which is another sort of tasty affair in the cruiserweight division. That division, we have a lot of guys in, and we want to start getting them fighting each other. And Caroline Dubois will be on that card as well, and Adam Azim God willing, he comes through this, we'll be there. So Chris Congo will make his debut as well. So we can't avoid it. We've got that many dates we want to get out. We've had a really strong start in February, and we want to keep going. And it's good. It is good for boxing. It's unfortunate for the fans, but it's just so good to see boxing thriving on so many different platforms.
Just a few final things I just want to touch on. Just on kind of the plan and the business model you guys are putting into place. With AJ, how key do you think it is to have a name like that in British boxing secured to the Sky platform and in tow, obviously, working with Boxer?
Well, we don't work with Anthony. He's got a lifetime deal with Matchroom, but he's very important to Sky, and at least has been, and they've had some great nights together. But Sky Sports is a machine. It's going to attract fighters from all over the world continuously, and we've seen it ourselves. We started with no stable, nothing. We've managed to sign Olympians, we've managed to sign world champions, we've managed to put together big fights very quickly, and we hopefully will only see that go from strength to strength. I think AJ is a massive name for British boxing. I'm such a big fan of AJ. I think he's taken the sport to new heights for everyone, and what he's achieved and what he represents and how well he's represents boxing is amazing. So Sky obviously love him, but whatever happens, we're fans of Anthony Joshua, and we're going to be wanting him to do as well as possible and continue to grow the sport in the way that he has done.
And just two final things on tomorrow night. Some of the clauses which people have been speaking about. I think we want a little bit of clarity. The rematch clause, firstly, is that purely in one side's favour? Does it work both ways? People just a little kind of confused on that front.
Rematch is there just if there's something ridiculous, an injury, or the judges got it wrong and things like that. We want to make sure this is a fair fight, but I do see this as the combination of this rivalry. You know, whoever wins on Saturday night is going to be the winner and is going to have that legacy, and we're not even thinking about the rematch. The fighters aren't. The fact that there's a rematch clause in there is purely to protect against things happening, if there's controversy, that sort of stuff. I expect this to be the fight. I expect this to be the fight that matters, and the one. And if you've won it, I don't see. I think they'll be moving on. They'll be moving on. But yeah, it's in there for precautionary matters more than anything.
And obviously we know the fight's at 149, but the next day 163.5 can't weigh more than that. Is that just you're shaking your head? So have I got that wrong?
I think so. I think there's a lot of rumours around this. This weigh-in, the 149 is what the contracted weight is. They'll weigh in tomorrow. As long as they both are on weight, we have a fight. There's a big penalty clause, as we know. If they don't, Kel joked today, I think, joked. I don't know. I wasn't too happy. Say he was going to come in, potentially higher, but he was 152 2 days ago. Trust me, he is ready. He is sharp. I think he's playing games there. They're both going to come in on weight. They've both been training for months and months. They've had great camps. Kel's back with Dominic now, and I don't think weight's going to be an issue whatsoever. So
from your understanding, there is no next day weight clause at 163.5?
No. I think what it was is Amir's team didn't want Kel to put on too much weight, and I think now that they've satisfied, they've come down to 149, everyone's happy, Kel's happy, Amir's happy. So tomorrow's an interesting day, and I think we're going to see them on the scales for the first time, and people are going to see the work that they've put in.
Mr. Ben Shalom, I appreciate your time as always. I'll leave now to fulfil the rest of your media commitments as this queue forms. Thank you for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Top man, thank you.